My sister-in-law barged into my house shouting, "I'm hosting Thanksgiving here whether you like it or not." When I refused, she invited guests anyway, but her reaction to my surprise vacation plans had her speechless. Hey Reddit Stories family. Welcome back, and if you're new here, we're thrilled to have you. Smash that subscribe button below and tap the bell icon, so you're notified every time we drop new content. Thanks for being part of this community. We create daily videos on Reddit Stories. By subscribing, you'll never miss out. Now, let's dive into today's video. My sister-in-law barged into my house shouting, "I'm hosting Thanksgiving here whether you like it or not." When I refused, she invited guests anyway, but her reaction to my surprise vacation plans had her speechless. First, some background. My wife Rachel and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago. Our house is comfortable with plenty of space for us, but it's nothing extravagant. Kate, my sister-in-law, seems to think otherwise. She's been the thorn in our side for as long as I've known Rachel. Kate is the kind of person who doesn't ask for things, she declares them, and if you don't agree, she'll steamroll right over you like your opinion doesn't matter. Rachel has always struggled to stand up to Kate, so most of the time I'm the one who ends up putting my foot down, but this time Kate really outdid herself. Rachel and I had already decided that this year we weren't hosting Thanksgiving. The last 2 years we'd opened our home to the entire family, both hers and mine, and as much as I love Thanksgiving, hosting is exhausting. It's not just the cooking though, that's a huge part of it. It's the cleaning, organizing, making sure everyone has what they need, and keeping the peace between feuding family members. After last year's fiasco where Kate loudly declared that my turkey was too dry in front of everyone and insisted we should have just ordered catering while I was still carving the bird, I told Rachel I wasn't doing it again. Rachel agreed. We'd been talking about taking a short trip somewhere warm, just the two of us, and skipping the chaos altogether. Apparently Kate had other plans. One Saturday morning about 2 months before Thanksgiving, I was outside trimming the hedges when I heard Rachel's voice inside the house. She wasn't shouting, but her tone was sharp, an obvious sign she was frustrated. Curious, I went inside and found Kate standing in the middle of our living room, arms crossed, talking at Rachel like she was a kid being scolded. "I'm hosting Thanksgiving here this year," Kate announced. "It just makes sense. Your house is bigger and everyone's already used to coming here." Rachel looked stunned. "Kate, we're not hosting Thanksgiving this year. We're actually planning to go out of town." "Well, that's just ridiculous," Kate snapped, waving her hand dismissively. "You can't just decide not to do Thanksgiving. What is everyone supposed to do?" Rachel opened her mouth to respond, but Kate kept going. "Mom's house is too small and my apartment isn't set up for that many people. You have the space, it's not a big deal. You don't even have to do anything. I'll handle all the planning." This was where I stepped in. "Kate," I said firmly, "we're not hosting Thanksgiving, period. We've already decided." She turned to me, eyes narrowing. "Why are you being so selfish? Thanksgiving is about family. You're just going to leave everyone high and dry." "I'm not being selfish," I replied. "We've hosted for the last 2 years. It's someone else's turn." "Well, you should have told everyone sooner," she snapped. "Now it's too late. I've already started planning." I stared at her. "Planning for what? We didn't agree to this." She threw her hands in the air. "You're being impossible. I'll figure it out." And with that she stormed out. I thought that was the end of it. Kate would sulk for a while, then move on. I couldn't have been more wrong. A few days later, Rachel's mom texted her, "Looking forward to Thanksgiving at your house." Kate said, "You're hosting again this year?" Rachel read the text out loud and I just laughed. "She's joking, right?" Rachel called Kate immediately. "Why is mom saying we're hosting Thanksgiving?" Rachel asked. "Oh, I went ahead and told everyone," Kate said, as if she'd done us a favor. "I knew you'd come around. Don't worry, I'll take care of the guest list and the menu." "Kate, we're not hosting," Rachel said, her voice firm. "You can't back out now." Kate shot back, "I've already told everyone. They're expecting it. You'll ruin Thanksgiving for the whole family if you cancel." Rachel started to argue, but Kate hung up before she could finish. Over the next week we started getting messages from other family members, all assuming we were hosting Thanksgiving. Kate had apparently gone out of her way to make it seem like the whole thing was set in stone by now. I was furious. Kate had completely ignored us, gone behind our backs, and roped the entire family into her plan. Rachel was stressed, her parents were confused, and I was done playing nice. "I'm not letting her get away with this," I told Rachel. "What are we supposed to do?" she asked. "I have an idea," I said. Rachel looked at me skeptical. "What are you planning?" "Just trust me," I said. I spent the next few weeks quietly putting my plan into motion. Kate continued to organize her version of Thanksgiving at our house, sending out group messages about the menu and assigning dishes for people to bring. Rachel and I stayed quiet, neither confirming nor denying anything. Meanwhile, I booked us a 5-night stay at a beachfront resort in Florida starting the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I also made sure to lock down our house, double-checking all the windows, setting the alarm system, and even asking a neighbor to keep an eye on the place while we were gone. On the Monday before Thanksgiving, Rachel's mom called to confirm the time she should arrive. We're leaving town tomorrow. Rachel told her what Kate said. I know what Kate said. Rachel interrupted. We told her weeks ago we're not hosting. She just didn't listen. Rachel's mom wasn't thrilled, but she understood. Tuesday morning we packed our bags, locked up the house, and left for the airport. By Wednesday evening my phone started blowing up. First it was, "Gee, where are you? The house is locked, people are coming tomorrow." Then it was Rachel's mom. "Kate's freaking out, what's going on?" I ignored the messages and sipped my drink. By Thanksgiving morning Kate had gone full meltdown mode. I'll stop here and pick up later, but let's just say she wasn't ready for what came next. Thanksgiving morning started off perfectly for me and Rachel anyway. We woke up to the sound of waves crashing against the shore, enjoyed breakfast on a sunny terrace overlooking the ocean, and made a PCT not to check our phones until lunch. When we finally caved, it was exactly what we expected: chaos. My phone had blown up overnight with texts from Kate, Rachel's mom, and even a few cousins. Kate's first message was short and sharp: "Where are you? People are coming at 3 p.m. Then came the longer, more frantic ones: "This isn't funny, you can't just leave. I've already set everything up and people are bringing food. What am I supposed to do now?" Rachel's mom had chimed in with her own version of panic: "Why didn't you tell me you weren't hosting?" Kate said it was all planned. "Now everyone's confused. Please call me." A cousin even threw in. Kate said, "You're refusing to open the house for Thanksgiving. Is this a joke?" Rachel read through the messages inside. "She's making us the villains. She's also making this her problem." I pointed out we told her we weren't hosting. She ignored us. That's on her, but deep down I knew this wasn't over yet. Back in Chicago, Kate wasn't taking no for an answer. According to updates we got later from Rachel's mom, Kate had shown up at our house around 11 a.m. fully prepared to set up for her grand Thanksgiving dinner. She had bags of decorations, tablecloths, and trays of food, and then she realized the house was locked. Apparently she tried every door and window, pacing around like a mad woman. When that didn't work, she called Rachel's parents and begged them to come over with a spare key, except we hadn't left them a spare key. That's when Kate really started to panic. She began calling every family member she could think of, complaining that we had abandoned Thanksgiving and ruined everything. But instead of getting sympathy, she got pushback. Rachel's mom told her they said they weren't hosting weeks ago. "Kate, you should have listened," her dad added. "If you wanted to host, you should have done it at your place. Don't blame them for your poor planning." Still, Kate wasn't ready to give up. She called a locksmith. "Here's the thing about our house, it's old but well secured. After a minor break-in scare a few years ago, we installed reinforced locks and a state-of-the-art alarm system, the kind that notifies the local police if anyone tries to tamper with the doors or window." When Kate called the locksmith, she didn't bother mentioning that it wasn't her house. She just said she was locked out and needed urgent access. The locksmith arrived and started inspecting the door, but before he could make any progress, the alarm system went off loudly, and since Rachel and I weren't there to disable it, the police were automatically alerted. By the time Kate realized what was happening, a patrol car was pulling into the driveway, according to one of our neighbors who was watching all of this unfold from her living room window. Kate tried to explain the situation to the officers. She told them she was hosting Thanksgiving for a family and needed to get inside, but when the officers asked if she lived there, Kate faltered. She didn't have proof of residency or even a key to the house. The locksmith, sensing the tension, packed up his tools and left. The officers told Kate she couldn't enter without the homeowner's permission. Frustrated and embarrassed, she had no choice but to leave, but instead of admitting defeat, Kate decided to pivot. By mid-afternoon, Kate was scrambling to salvage her Thanksgiving plans. She called everyone and told them to meet at her tiny one-bedroom apartment instead. Rachel's mom later described the scene as an absolute disaster. For starters, Kate's apartment was way too small to fit more than 5 people comfortably, let alone the 15 to 20 she had invited. There wasn't enough seating, the kitchen was cramped, and most of the food people had brought required reheating or assembly, which Kate hadn't accounted for. To make matters worse, Kate hadn't even cleaned. Rachel's mom said the place was cluttered with laundry, random shopping bags, and a pile of unopened Amazon packages. At one point, someone accidentally knocked over a bottle of wine, staining Kate's carpet. Then the oven overheated and set off the smoke alarm. By the time dinner was ready, nearly 2 hours late, half the guests had already left. The ones who stayed barely touched the food, which Kate had haphazardly thrown together in her panic. While Kate's Thanksgiving was falling apart, Rachel and I were enjoying a quiet dinner by the ocean. We toasted to the chaos we knew was happening back home and didn't feel the slightest bit guilty when we Got back a few days later, there were no angry texts or calls waiting for us, just silence, but the real fallout came when we visited Rachel's parents the following weekend. Kate was there sulking on the couch and wouldn't even look at us. "You made me look like an idiot," she snapped. When Rachel tried to say hello, "No, Kate," Rachel said calmly, "you made yourself look like an idiot. We told you we weren't hosting. You ignored us," Kate muttered something under her breath but didn't argue. Even her parents didn't defend her this time. Here's where things took a turn I didn't expect. A week after the Thanksgiving disaster, Kate sent out a group message to the entire family: "Next year I'll host Thanksgiving at my place." It read, at first I thought it was a joke, but then Rachel showed me another text from Kate, this one just to her: "I shouldn't have tried to take over your house." Kate admitted, "I'm sorry, I just didn't want to let Mom down." It wasn't exactly a heartfelt apology, but coming from Kate it was as close as we were going to get. I'm not holding my breath for Kate to change completely, but it seems like she learned a lesson, at least for now. Rachel and I, on the other hand, are already planning next year's Thanksgiving trip, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: sometimes the best revenge is a peaceful vacation far away. After Kate's half-baked apology, things were quiet for a while. Too quiet. Rachel and I weren't naive. We knew Kate well enough to know she wasn't suddenly a changed person, but for a few weeks she kept her distance. No phone calls, no surprise visits, no ridiculous demands. It was almost suspicious. Then, about a month later, I overheard Rachel on the phone with her mom. "Kate's planning Christmas dinner," Rachel said, her voice tense, "at our house." I nearly choked on my coffee. "She would?" I asked. Rachel put the phone on speaker so I could hear. She said, "She's hosting Christmas at your place." Her mom confirmed. "She told everyone it's easier for her to organize there, and I assumed you were okay with it." "Of course we're not okay with it," Rachel snapped. It was deja vu, except this time Kate was trying to hijack Christmas. That night Rachel called Kate to confront her. "You're not hosting Christmas at our house," Rachel said firmly. Kate immediately got defensive. "Why are you being so difficult? I already told everyone it's just easier if we do it at your place." "Easier for you maybe," Rachel shot back, "but it's our house, Kate. You don't get to make decisions about it. I'm doing this for the family," Kate whined. "Don't you care about anyone but yourselves?" At this point I could see the frustration boiling over in Rachel, but instead of arguing she suddenly smiled and said, "You know what, fine, host Christmas at our house. Will stay out of your way." I raised an eyebrow but stayed quiet. I had no idea what Rachel was planning, but I knew that look on her face after the call. Rachel turned to me. "Let her host Christmas," she said, grinning. "Are you serious?" I asked. "Dead serious," she replied. "We'll give her exactly what she wants on our terms." And with that, Rachel started plotting. Kate showed up to our house 2 days before Christmas with a carload of decorations and food. Rachel and I greeted her at the door with big smiles and handed her the keys. "We'll be back after Christmas," Rachel said cheerfully. Kate looked confused. "Wait, you're leaving?" "Yep," Rachel said. "You wanted to host, right? The house is all yours. Have fun." Before Kate could argue, we were out the door, luggage in hand. What Kate didn't know was that we'd taken some extra precautions before leaving. For starters, we turned off the Wi-Fi and hid the router. We also shut off the main water valve so the plumbing wouldn't work, and to top it all off, we set the thermostat to a chilly 55 degrees Fahrenheit and locked the settings with a password. But the resistance, we left behind a surprise guest, my buddy David. David is one of my oldest friends and he's an interesting guy. He's harmless but incredibly chatty, and he has a knack for making himself at home wherever he goes. We told David about Kate's antics and he was more than happy to help, just hang around the house. I told him be as helpful as possible. Kate didn't even know David was staying until she walked into the guest room and found him unpacking his suitcase. "Who are you?" she demanded. "I'm David," he said cheerfully, "your helper for Christmas. Don't worry, I'm great at setting up tables, moving furniture and taste testing desserts." According to David, Kate was too stunned to argue. By Christmas Eve, Kate wasn't over her head. The lack of Wi-Fi made it impossible for her to play Christmas music, stream movies, or even look up recipes. The plumbing issue meant she couldn't run the dishwasher or even use the kitchen sink, and the freezing temperature in the house had everyone bundled up in coats and scarves. Meanwhile, David kept helping by offering unsolicited advice, loudly chewing snacks, and following Kate around like a shadow. The final straw came on Christmas Day when Kate tried to cook the family dinner with no running water. She had to boil bottled water to clean the dishes. Then the oven stopped working because we'd set it to Sabbath mode and hidden the manual. Rachel's mom later described the scene as an absolute circus. Half the family left before dinner was even served, and the ones who stayed were visibly miserable. Kate spent most of the evening muttering angrily under her breath while David happily ate the turkey and Complimented her effort when Rachel and I got home the day after Christmas. Kate was waiting for us in the driveway. What the hell was that? She snapped. What was what? Rachel asked innocently. You sabotaged Christmas. Kate shouted. The Wi-Fi was off, the water didn't work, and the oven broke. And who the hell is David? David's our friend. Said he was just trying to help you. Ruined everything, Kate cried. No, Kate, Rachel said calmly. You ruined everything. We told you not to plan events at our house without our permission. You didn't listen. This is what happens when you act entitled. Kate opened her mouth to argue, but Rachel cut her off. If you ever try to take over our house again, it won't just be Wi-Fi and water. Rachel said next time we'll cancel the electricity too. Since the Christmas disaster, Kate hasn't tried to host anything at our house or anyone else's for that matter. She's kept her distance, and family gatherings have been blissfully peaceful ever since. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about teaching someone a lesson they'll never forget. And Kate, she learned the hard way. If you enjoyed this video, drop a thumbs up below, it helps so much. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Thanks for hanging out. See you in the next one. Peace.